Thanks for sticking with us tonight. Most of the attention in this Russian spy case has been on the Russian beauty Anna Chapman. You wonder why. Now, overlooked in all this is the Spanish newspaper commentator by the name of Vicky Palais, who's accused of being part of a deep-cover Russian spy ring. It's all over the papers today. Turns out she was a writer for the Spanish-language newspaper, El Diario, here in New York. Churned out articles and commentaries for 20 years that blast the United States on various different issues. Andrew Breitbart runs BigJournalism.com. He sees a connection between the writings of an alleged Russian spy, possibly sent here by Moscow to publish anti-American propaganda, and the mainstream liberal journalism of the homegrown variety. How could the two possibly be connected, Andrew? Or, in other words, I approach this with little skepticism to say that a Russian spy ring is in any way connected to our own media here in the U.S. How could that be?
Well, first of all, those two pictures, are those the same people? Did she come to the United States and gain about 150 pounds between the first photo and the second photo?
Well, those are different people. Thanks very much.
Oh, okay, sorry.
One's Anna Chapman and the other's the El Diario reporter, but carry on.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Well, just so we have it all straight.
Well, no, look, as there's so many media scandals that are going on over there, it is interesting to think that a Russian spy would infiltrate a cultural institution such as the media. That's what happened in the 1950s in the United States. The left has been infiltrated for years and years by people from a Soviet mindset that realized the way to influence American culture was to go through Hollywood
to do it through
and to
Hollywood and the media. Got it.
And through the mainstream media. So that's the core essence of people who argue that there is a media bias, because when we were in a Cold War with the Soviet Union, they were smart and understood that the agitprop and this type of thing is the way it's done. The interesting part is now is I would think that a Russian person in Obama's America would have to report to the left,
right,
in order to try and not fit in.
Okay.
You know, in order to fit in.
All right, I get the gist of it now. Let me just go to, speaking of media bias, to another topic. Sarah Palin was making a speech out in California. After the speech, one of the local media outlets caught some audio, allegedly of reporters talking amongst themselves about her speech. Let's listen to that, then we'll come back and talk about it. Listen to this.
Oh my God, I feel like I just got off the roller coaster. Go round, shit flying out of everywhere.
Especially when you got to write a report as a college student, and you just try to jam as many quotes in as possible, you know, from as many random statements.
Did she make a statement? Because I didn't catch that either.
Now I know.
The dumbness doesn't come from just sound bites.
All right, so dumbness doesn't come from just sound bites was the last part of that for everybody that was reading along at home. I don't think there's any way you'd probably be able to understand. It was tough to gather. But what do you make of it, Andrew?
Well, it's certainly not unexpected. I mean, the media exists in a culture of peer pressure where they all are kind of brought into the same bubble, and they're losing their jobs left and right. These people have to look out for their next job. So people are trying to make nice with people, trying to show we share the same value system. So it's like a lot like this in Hollywood. There are people on a set who are not political whatsoever, but they'll say, "How about that stupid George Bush?"
Right.
This is just a reflection of how they're supposed to think in order to get along. And it's problematic, to say the least.
Got it. Let me just talk about one more issue, Andrew, before I let you go. Dave Weigel, this Washington Post blogger who was fired, some of his email conversation ended up getting out, and supposedly there's this list of 400 journalists, commentators, and others on this server called Journo List that Ezra Klein of the Washington Post had put together. Apparently a place where they could all get together off the record and chat about the issues, whatever they were doing. I don't know what they were doing. It was off the record. You put out a reward, $100,000 for anybody who gives you that list. You think you'll get it? And if you ended up getting a hold of those names, what would you do with them?
Well, it's more than just the names. It's the entirety of the archives of how these people are able to shape the narrative. It takes a form of collusion to make sure that everybody agrees that Barack Obama is the smartest person in the world and Sarah Palin is the dumbest person in the world. And while the media was going after Dave Weigel for wishing ill on Russia, who kicked him off the list, who was liberal, served the person's desire. That person got rid of Dave Weigel not because he was a liberal on a liberal list, because Dave Weigel, believe it or not, played fair with conservatives and from time to time would go off the reservation, and that's what happened. He suffered the sins for going against the journalist. It is a way by which the left colludes in order to create liberal and progressive narratives.
Wasn't liberal enough is how you see it. Andrew, thank you as always. Appreciate you coming on with us once again. Andrew Breitbart.